From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are following at this hour. The Trump administration was handed a rapid-fire series of court losses Wednesday night and Thursday in lawsuits filed over its policies on immigration, elections, and its crackdown on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in schools. But the legal disputes playing out across the country are far from over, and administration attorneys pushed back, asking the federal appellate courts and the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn some of the unfavorable decisions. For example, judges blocked the administration from enforcing its diversity, equity, and inclusion crackdown in education in at least two lawsuits Thursday. The decisions came ahead of a Friday deadline that the Education Department set for states to sign a form certifying they would not use illegal DEI practices. A federal judge in New Hampshire blocked a series of directives from the Education Department, including a memo ordering an end to any practice that differentiates people based on their race, and another asking for assurances that schools don't use DEI practices deemed discriminatory. Judges in Maryland and Washington, D.C., meanwhile, also halted portions of the anti-DEI efforts. And a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from immediately enacting certain changes to how federal elections are run, including adding a proof of citizenship requirement to the federal voter registration form. Still, the judge allowed other parts of Trump's sweeping executive order on U.S. elections, including a directive to tighten mail ballot deadlines, to go forward for now. U.S. District Judge Colleen Kolar-Kotelly in Washington added that, sided with voting rights groups and Democrats, saying that the Constitution gives the power to regulate federal elections to states and Congress, not the president. She noted federal lawmakers are currently working on their own legislation to require proof of citizenship to vote. In other news, the papacy of Pope Francis ended with the same core doctrine for LGBTQ plus people that he inherited. The Catholic Church still rejected same-sex marriage and condemned any sexual relations between gay or lesbian partners as intrinsically disordered. Yet, unlike his predecessors, Francis incrementally conveyed through his actions, formal statements, and occasional casual remarks that he wanted the church to be a more welcoming place for them. And for the record, folks, there is a difference between welcoming and affirming. We strongly recommend that you go to an affirming church, unlike the Catholics who are just welcoming. They'll welcome you in to take money out of your pocket and put it in their collection plate, but they're not necessarily going to treat you like you're one of them. Just making that abundantly clear. Among activists, there was frustration over the lack of a doctrinal breakthrough, but still there was gratitude this week for his unabashed warmth to them. Francis, who died Monday, was a transformational leader who included LGBTQ people in historic ways, said Sarah Kate Ellis, CEO of the U.S.-based advocacy group GLAAD, who met twice with the Pope. His principles of empathetic listening, inclusion, and compassion are exactly what this divided world needs right now. We may have more to say on that later. But for now, finally, the Keystone is reporting that for Carly Morton and hundreds of thousands of other Pennsylvanians on Medicaid, President Donald Trump and the Republican Party's proposed $880 billion cut to the healthcare program could be the difference between life and death, literally. Literally. I would not be able to afford my medical care. I would have to choose between my medical care and my food, my medical care and the roof over my head, my medical care and the car that gets me to my job. That's what the situation would be, Morton explained. I would have to be choosing between one basic need and another. Morton, a 31-year-old Beaver County resident, has 23 diagnosed medical conditions and is unable to work 40 hours a week because of the amount of time that she spends navigating her illnesses and the ripple effects they cause. Trust me, folks, as someone who is a recovering person with cancer, I get it. I'm there too. The days that I don't work, it's a slew of things, she said. It's getting to medical appointments for follow-ups and checkups. It's handling medical phone calls to get refills on infusion supplies, injection supplies. It's fighting with my insurance company to make sure things stay covered or get covered depending on the situation. It's running to the pharmacy for medication, spending hours in line at the food bank twice a month because my income is too small and my food stamps are not enough for me to cover all of my food needs. That's a huge chunk of time. Earlier this year, Republicans in Congress passed a budget that recommends $888 billion in cuts to Medicaid through May 2034 in order to pay for extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts for the country's ultra-wealthy. According to the Center for American Progress, Pennsylvania would lose more than $34 billion in Medicaid funding during that time if those cuts were enacted. And over 800,000 Pennsylvanians could lose access to medical coverage. Roughly 3.2 million children, seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income residents have Medicaid in Pennsylvania. Imagine for just a moment, folks, wiping out Medicaid in Pennsylvania. That would mean 3.2 million dead people in Pennsylvania that are alive right now. Think about that. U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called the House Republicans' plan to cut Medicaid the largest round of cuts in the program's history, and in recent weeks, there seems to be growing discomfort with the idea of cutting Medicaid within some corners of the Republican Party. Discomfort? Really? You make it sound like it's some sort of inconvenience. Tell that to the people dying who don't have Medicaid, who can't pay for food and medicine and hospital needs when and if they should ever arise. Think about that, Republican Party, while you're stuffing your throats full of... I digress. That's the news at this hour. Go out there and deal with it, folks. Now back to more music here on PEP Radio.